We're rolling.
Hey, we don't have to rush today. We often do these before we do the main record, but yeah, you're not going to be on the main record this week.
And it's very rare that we do this without me being on the main show.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I missed an episode was when I was carried by COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's never go through that again, please, people. That was terrifying at the time. Yeah, the weird thing is, I've ended talk for table the next day when you came on and you came on for that. That sounded terrible. That sounded terrible. You carried the show for me on that one. Thank you.
Hey, it's funny that you're talking about it, but that's kind of, I say, I had one thing written down and I was like, oh, I'll think of something else and I'll write things down. But that's kind of the main thing I want to talk to you about. Like, I might have COVID right now. I have literally no idea right now. I woke up with a sore throat this morning, a little bit of coughing, nothing too serious, but that's the issue. When you've got the vaccine, if you do get the symptoms, you get minor symptoms. So the instructions are very clear. If you show symptoms, you don't turn up to work for obvious reasons, as a precautionary method. So the most of my morning has been spent trying to find somewhere where I can actually get a test to find out if I actually have COVID or not. And as we've talked about multiple times previously, some of the things in the healthcare system in America can be absolutely ridiculous. And this has just proven it even more. I couldn't get a doctor's appointment for 10 days. And then I was told the test would take 3 days to get the results back. Exactly. I was like, well, I might as well just go into quarantine for 14 days then at that point. I'm like,
Right. Let me get this straight. And this again, and bearing in mind, I apologize in advance. This feels like I'm going to be doing my bad cop feature from last week almost. So I'm going to start getting higher and higher. So, one, you have to pay for all of your healthcare in America, yes?
I get mine subsidized as a teacher. But
You
yes.
have to pay for your healthcare.
Uh-huh.
You can't get a doctor's appointment for 10 days.
Correct.
You could, and if you can find a test center, then it's going to take 3 days to come back.
Now, okay, so first of all, let me say one other thing. I actually, the reason I didn't respond to you for about 15, 20 minutes when you said I'm ready was I was actually talking to my mom. And she mentioned the fact that right now it's very difficult where she lives to actually get to a GP as well. Like, basically, they're not taking appointments. You might get a phone call, and pretty much the advice is going to be, oh, you're in pain? Take paracetamol. So it's not unique to just America right now, some of these things that are going on. But yes, it's definitely a problem. So my next port of call was, well, I had to ask the receptionist, like, what's my next option then? And the local pharmacist, I was told, was the place I wanted to go. So did the search. Obviously, I wanted the rapid response one. I'm like, that's the one. Then this weekend I can go see wrestling shows. Woohoo! Looked for that. I searched within a 30-mile radius. There was no appointments today. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go for tomorrow then. I can still make a show Saturday night. Couldn't find a single one. Did the same thing Sunday. Couldn't find a single one. So I was like, all right, well, let's see then. What difference does it make if I switch to the one that goes to the lab and then I got to wait 2, 3 days? Nothing for today. The only one I could find is about 30 minutes away. 2:20 tomorrow. I was like, shoot, I better sign up for it then. So I've already had to call in sick for Monday, Tuesday next week.
You have to make appointments?
I have to make an appointment. Yep.
Right. But bear in mind, anyone watching this from the UK is going to say, yeah, it wasn't always like this. I know it wasn't like this always. There were issues at one point. Testing was so bad that if you want a COVID test, where you live down here on the east coast of England, the nearest place you can get a COVID test, because you had to book for test at that point, was Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Another country. But now, as in, and I like to think, anyway, we haven't got to pay for our test or anything. I mean, yes, you can't always get an appointment to go into the surgery, but you can still get a Zoom call with your doctor face to face like this, and it can be discussed with it. They're doing that all still, and within walking distance, I have 3 walk-through test centers, and you'll get results same day.
Yeah, I was hoping that I could just do that and it would be a lot quicker. Now I do have the option of seeing you don't really have an equivalent in England, but we have something called urgent care. It's not the ER room; it's totally separate from that.
We've got urgent care.
Where
Yeah.
you can go see the doctor, but it's like twice the price, or twice the copay. So normally, if I want to go see my doc, this is the other thing. I don't know if you realize this, Matt. Even though I pay all this amount of money out, or people do spend that, you still have to pay to see your doctor on top of that. So you still pay $20 every time you go visit. And if you go to that's my plan anyway. I'm sure other plans are different. And if I want to go and see the urgent care, it's $40. But I'm told that they're kind of like like everyone's super busy right now. So yeah, and of course I might not have anything at all. I might just literally have a sore throat. I might have nothing at all. But right now I don't know, so I have to err on the side of caution. So
Well, it's always better to be safe than sorry. I do have a question, Graham. Do you have these at home?
I have Innova discs. Have you bought some disc golf? That's disc golf company. I didn't know you were into. You're starting to play golf? Is that a drive you got into?
No, Graham. These are my home testing kits.
Ah, my mum talked about those actually because she
flow tests.
Yeah, she works. She's at church, like she's like one of the greeters, or she hands the Bibles out, or I don't know, the songbooks, whatever she does. So she has to test herself for the same sort of reason. But yeah, so yeah, apparently they're really difficult to get hold of here as well right now.
That surprises me because actual flow tests, they're being given out in boxes for free here in the UK. Don't get why the richest country in America can't do in America. Why the richest country in the world can't figure that one out and that sort of things.
Yes, it's all based on profit. That's why.
Yeah, well, if everyone I hate to be a doom and gloom guy here at this point, and I apologize for the language I'm about to use. If everyone's fucking dead, there's no one to pay your fucking money.
There is a point when all pyramid schemes collapse, and it does make you wonder when something like that could happen. I'm fortunate that, like, I have a car. I have the ability to actually get to one of these locations as well. In America, if you don't have a car, you're in big trouble in terms of traveling. Like, you just can't. There's plenty of people that do not have access to things like that. They rely on the limited public transport that we have, or you hear stories frequently of people who have to walk 4 or 5 miles to work. So in some ways, I'm very fortunate, but it could be in a lot worse position. I think if you're in that worse position, all you do is you quarantine for 14 days.
Well, the thing is, in the UK now, it's only 10 days.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, and I haven't looked into exactly what it is. Obviously, fingers crossed, I'll get a result Monday or Tuesday, and it says, "Hey, you good?"
Yeah, I mean,
we'll wait and see. There's no reason why it should be a positive test, but following the protocols, if you have the symptoms, you have to.
We have done this. We have done this. You've done this. I've done this. Obviously, I've been down a bit, but I test regularly. Obviously, my little nephew, James's boy, he had a really sore throat this week, and runny nose and everything like that. It was hay fever, but the school wouldn't let him go back in until he'd had a PCR test.
Yeah.
So he isolated and got hit with my sister-in-law, and the results came back negative. We knew it would be.
I'm pretty sure as well, but yeah. Yeah, I've actually taken allergy medicine today. I don't normally do. The boys do. They suffer kind of much worse. I will suffer occasionally. My first year in the States, I was awful. I was taking hay fever medicine every day. I'm guessing the pollen's just different here, and I obviously reacted to it. But since, I very rarely take it. Like over the summer, I think I probably took 1 or 2 tablets for the whole year, and the year before, kind of like the same sort of thing. Next few days, I'll be taking it just to be try and get rid of it.
They say allergies roll in like 7-year cycles with hay fever and all that sort of stuff. They say that anyway. I feel that's all a bit. I would say it's an old wives' tale, but I heard of an old husband, so that's fine. Now, you were talking about travel there, Graham, about how if you haven't got a car in America, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
I was talking with my mum just today about, because obviously, day of recording, tomorrow I'm going to be at CXW. Which I can't wait to be able to be there, front row with my merch on.
I already know your good cop moment for next week. We got that.
Yeah, but that's gonna be fantastic. But I was saying to Mum, this is technically a local promotion, even though it's in another town, because we're gonna go by the American bubble, as it were. A local promotion is anything up to 30 miles away.
Yeah, I travel further than that.
Yeah.
I was looking like I had my bad cop moment last week. I talked about the options on Sunday. I had
Yeah.
multiple options for the rest of, the rest of the weekend as well. Like today, first EWA Maryland event in 20 months. Like we were at the last one. I would have loved to. I know it meant stuck in traffic, but I probably would have, as long as I hadn't have had a brutal day at school, I probably would have gone ahead and done that. And tomorrow, as they're recording, there's also events in Delaware. I missed the first, I forget the name, Capital Championship Wrestling event because I was up in New Jersey. So I would like to have seen that. One CW show follows it immediately. That was one of my options. And just listening to Bishop, I totally forgot it's the WWE event in DC this weekend as well on the Saturday because I was like, oh, I'll take a quick look, find the prices, see if they've dropped, and I'll make a. That's one of the things I've been careful of. Like I've stopped buying tickets after Jackson threw up at that just 1 minute before we went into the event. I'm like, I'm not spending money again. I'm going to wait. If the show sells out, hey, great for that show. I'm really happy that they managed to sell out. That's good for wrestling. But I'm not doing it. I will just wait and I'll turn up on the day. And the other thing this weekend is UEW down in Richmond. And I would normally get that one. They put their prices up $5 a ticket, and I was like, no, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Glad I did, obviously. But yeah, I tend to be a little bit further. But yeah, I would agree. Up to 30 miles, I think you can definitely class as local. I probably extend that.
So I'm traveling 15 miles tomorrow, half an hour on the train, and it's about a 15-20 minute walk from the station. So that's not too bad. I'll get me steps in that way, no problem at all. I'm not walking 15 miles to go watch wrestling, Graham. I'm sorry. I'm doing me steps in the morning.
You could catch the train on the way back.
Pardon?
You could catch the train on the way back. I didn't say you should walk there and back.
In any case, I'm not doing either. I'll get my steps in with Chris in the morning. We're going into town to pick up his subscription. We're going to walk back and enjoy the beach and everything. Well, enjoy the seafront on the way back, sort of thing. And then I'm going to head up to Colchester and I'm going to enjoy sitting front row.
It sounds like you might have actually started something. I don't know if you saw High Five Tom's comment today. Sounds like we could possibly even set up a group chat and start kind of, like I say, I carried on this. I did this basically because of you. I wasn't intending. I was intending doing more, but I wasn't intending doing 10,000 every day. And that's kind of, and Bishop was like, well, I wanted to know what you were doing. I was like, hey, I'm not posting that. But it sounds like that might be something that he might be thinking of doing, and we might be able to get other people on. So who knows what could happen from
Being
this.
supportive is fine, obviously. Yeah. There has been an incident or two with last week or so where someone seemed to be rubbing in my face that I wasn't doing enough.
We've discussed this off air, and that person has been a total jerk and just
I won't say who it was. Part of the fact is that I mean everyone been saying how I've been smashing it and it's been great, and I admit that I've enjoyed doing it, but at the same time it's been so hard for me as well because especially since lockdown I've not had the motivation to get myself back in shape. My plan to lose all that weight this year started like a house of fire, and then after COVID just tailed off, which you think would carry on, but it didn't. But I'm feeling better about myself as a person. I'm getting there. I'm not in a better shape, but I'm getting there, and I'm helping raise some amazing amount of money for amazing cause. Same time, so win-win.
But I think when more people do it together, I think that kind of supports each other. That like I'm going to keep going. Like if I'd have not known ahead of time, if I'd said in August I'm going to have 15 days where I'm going to do 10,000 steps, that would have been a pretty good achievement. That would have been way more than I normally do. The fact I did the whole month, I wouldn't have done that under normal circumstances if it wasn't for kind of the thing that you were doing. And same thing, each day now, it's like, all right, I got to go and do it. I'm not sitting on the couch when I get home. I'm going to go out and I'm going to walk for 40 minutes because I have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to get to those. So, no, I definitely think when other people are doing it together, then it makes it like, well, I know Matt's doing it, so I'm going to go do it as well. And if I can get even a couple more people on board as well, if Matt and Graham are doing it, then I'm going to do it. Hey, I think we'll see how it evolves. But I know the other thing that's going to suck at some point, the weather's going to get crappy. Once we get into October, November, December, it won't be as easy to do. But for however long it lasts, I say we keep it going for as much as we can.
Absolutely. To put a bit, in case people wondering today how it's going, because I haven't posted today's yet. I've got in from work not long ago.
Uh-huh.
Here is today's current total.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, Bad Cop was just messing with you the other day. I was up at 5 o'clock. I was up at 5 o'clock. I'd already done my 11,000 by 7. So I'm like, I'll just post that one just to see what's going on. But yeah, you posted one day and then you did like another 9,000 steps on top or something crazy like that. It was like a huge total.
Well,
I think it was 21,000 by the end of the day.
It was. And the reason why I did the 9,000 on top was because I got in from work and then I realised, shit, I've got to be in chapel for like 6 o'clock. Chapel, by the way, is not an actual church. By the way, Chapel and Wakes Co is a place which has got a railway museum and a beer festival, and yeah, they had some amazing beers and ciders there. I started the wrong way around. I started with a 6.7 cider called Gandhi's Flip Flop.
Woo! Nice.
Called Gandhi's Flip Flop, and it was intense and dry, which is why it's called Gandhi's Flip Flop, I suppose. Then I had an ale called The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. Then an ale called Leading Lights. I was trying to find wrestling standing ones, but I didn't have any, unfortunately. What's the last one I had? Zeppelin was the last ale I had, and then my last cider. I was tempted by, I forgot what it's called now. It sounded intriguing, but I tasted it was too sweet even for me. Drinking it almost gave me diabetes.
There's your wrestling connection right there. Too sweet.
Well, the last one I actually chose was one called Wormhole, and that sounds like a wrestling finisher as well.
Sounds like Star Trek Next Generation.
I'm in someone Series 4 now, Graham. Series 4.
Well, actually, it sounds more like Deep Space Nine, actually, because they're located outside a wormhole. But I know you're not that far yet.
I will get to Deep Space Nine. Don't worry about that, because of course they were happening at the same time. Of course, Deep Space Nine and TNG. I'm starting to do a bit of research into the other series now. I'm looking forward to seeing Voyager. Looking forward to seeing Picard eventually. About 20 years after he actually made it last year, the way it's going with me. But I've got to say, my favourite character from that has to be Brent Spiner. Brent Spiner playing Data, so good.
Yeah.
How hard it must be to play a character with no emotions.
Yeah. You'd think they'd have picked a British actor, really. Huh. Yeah, I've got to throw in one comment. If you want to hear more beer talk, make sure you tune in tomorrow for the proper Good Cop, Bad Cop, because we'll be having Rob and Dan, and I think it'll be part of the show. We know that's going to have a beer component to it.
I've got to say, and I mean without meaning to sound like an arse, I mean without meaning to sound like an arse, I have never had a chance to speak to those two gentlemen face to face before, and I'm not going to get a chance for another 6 months now. So thanks.
And that was, you know what the problem was? I thought, like, whoever I booked, he's going to be upset anyway. So I'm like, I might as well just go with the correct order.
You should have booked Micah again. It'd been fine. To be fair, I'll have a chance at some point. Rob and Dan are amazing. They're always jumping into the Techers chats, and it's always they're so supportive of everything that this side of the wrestling community does. And it's just wonderful. They're just wonderful people.
Whenever you listen to Chain Wrestling, you always hear a reference to your good self, and you always hear a reference to Dan as well.
Did you listen to Chain Wrestling this past week, Graham? With where Simon, Mr. Powell, by the way, you are an angel for plugging my charity stuff. Thank you for that, by the way. But hearing the stories about me and my friend Trevor.
I did, yeah. I heard all those Drunken Stories Part 4.
Have I ever told you?
You did a Stone Cold Stunner in the middle of a bar, if I remember correctly.
I didn't say bar. I didn't say in the bar. I just said that he kept getting Larry. We've been kicked out at that point. We were in the middle of the street, and he kept getting Larry and Larry and Larrier. I was like, in a minute, I'm going to drop you a fucking stunner, and he kept doing. So I kicked him in the gut. Nothing. So I thought, well, he's like 6'4". I ain't the tallest person in the world. Yeah. So how do you get someone down to your level? I kicked him in the
Low
nuts.
blow.
Kicked him in the nuts, and I dropped him. And do you know what? The last time I brought this up was in a speech at his wedding.
Ah.
Never mentioned it to anybody since then. And now the whole world knows it.
It's funny that those guys can continually manage to do part 2, part 3, part 4. You know there's going to be a part 5 because people keep thinking of, oh, I forgot about this story. And like, I don't have many stories that fall into that category.
Graham.
And I think I contributed on 2 of them already. And I could have contributed on this one, but I'm like, in terms of the stories that are going to come out, it's going to be way lower than them. So I'm just going to leave off.
Graham, as long as they keep making this stuff, the stories are going to keep coming.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Now, we should have probably discussed this off air, but I kind of made an executive decision. I'm not calling this bonus material anymore. I'm calling it the pre-show.
Okay.
And I will be promoting it as such as well. So when I put out the tweet, rather than just saying there's going to be bonus material, I'm going to put it out as the pre-show. That's how I'm going to list it as.
Well,
if it's good for WWE, it's good enough for us as well. I think it deserves enough. We talked for long enough that if we release this as a podcast, it's a little short compared to our regular show, but it's not. To start with, when we did it, it was kind of just a little jokey. We talked for like 10 minutes, perhaps, of something that we didn't quite cover, and I think since then we talk a lot more, and often we'll look and we go, oh, shoot, we need to stop now because we're about to start recording.
We have guests. We have an open agenda, don't we? So that's fine. I was trying to think. Could we make it maybe a bit more on brand? Maybe like the preamble, or
good chat, bad chat.
No, we've done that, Graham. We've done that before. Pre-show for now, but I'll tell you what, if anyone's got a good idea for what we should be calling this, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's definitely an extension of the show, and I think bonus material is a bit of an insult to probably what we're doing. Not that we're coming up with anything fantastic, but I think it should be linked into the show a little bit more than. I guess I was a little just dismissive of it because that's kind of how I do things. Like if I undersell it, then there's like no pressure on it at all. So it's like, this is just a little bit of bonus material. If you want to listen, go ahead and listen. But yeah, we did of course go from our highest number of listens once again to an average number of listens. That the numbers are very random. I don't think there's anything particular on who's on there. I think it's what people are doing on a particular week. I think that's part of it. Or whether I remember to do a good job of promoting it as well. I think that's probably part of it as well. As I'm promoting, I should mention, I know it's been in the background. I'm sure people are aware of Bishop's shirt by now. But yeah, TW Takes Podcast. Go hit him up at TW Takes Podcast. He can do you a great deal. Best price merch. And yeah, it's good quality. I think there might be an ordering for the Philippines. I think I heard from what I was reading on Twitter possibly. So we'll have to see.
That'll be Troy or Jiggy, maybe both.
That would be neither of those actually. That would be Cherry Jerry.
Oh, fair enough.
Possibly. It was mentioned in the fact it's really difficult to get merchandise in the Philippines, and Bishop jumped on it, and I vouched for the quality of the merchandise as well.
I wasn't aware that Cherry Jerry was from the Philippines.
Ah, okay. That would have been a very sensible first choice then. Yeah.
That's because I treat everybody the same, Graham.
That's one of the things I do love about our little community. Now, when we have certain places, I make immediate associations, and I'm with you actually. I even have a coworker who's actually from the Philippines. But when I think Philippines, I immediately think of Troy and Jiggy. And similarly, if I hear different states mentioned, I immediately think of podcasters who come from that area now as well. So, yeah.
Whenever I see Virginia, I always think of you. I always think of the boys. I always think of your good lady. And I also think of His Royal Highness King Benjamin Banks.
King Benjamin Banks will be appearing in Virginia in November. I just saw VCW has announced their next show. They were holding off for a little bit, but they've announced their next show is going to be November. And the half of Crime Time is going to be there as well, whose name I forget. I must apologize. I thought he said JTG.
That's right.
Okay. Yes, and with a mystery partner who is to be announced, it said. So, yes, Benjamin Banks will be wrestling in the good state of Virginia soon. I am hoping we can get down to that one. It's been too long since I've seen Benjamin.
I would not be surprised, Graham, if it was Shad's child.
Oh, I didn't know how old his child was.
Not massively old. It'd probably be like a in tribute. You could be like an honorary
Oh,
tag partner
got
sort
you,
of thing,
got you. I thought
like
you meant a
Nicholas,
tag team partner.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
He'd be
Oh,
on
okay,
part of
got
Crime
you,
Time.
got you.
It'd be like a nice passing of the torch moment sort of thing.
I think he is from this area, right? Or he was living in this area. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
I got one quote I was going to read you, Matt. The only thing I wrote down was something I think you will probably agree with. This was from Samoa Joe, I saw. I work for a company. If I played for a major football club, you wouldn't lend me out on the weekend to go play for the rival team. Messi ain't doing day shifts over at Manchester United. That was Samoa Joe talking about not being in favor of the forbidden door. I don't think you like that idea either, right? Wrestlers going and working in other companies.
I've made my point about that several times.
Mhm.
Because I'm not on Good Cop Bad Cop tomorrow, I can't say what I would have had as my good cop moment.
Uh-huh.
And that is
Well, you can say now.
exactly that's what I'm doing now. Um, um, the news about Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson's contract. The
Mhm.
details have come out is that WWE and AEW offered him the exact same deal.
Oh, I did not know that. Ah,
The only difference is that Brian wanted the Forbidden Door to be open for everybody, not
yeah.
just him.
Ah,
And that's why he signed with AEW on a 3-year deal.
mhm.
However, Vince and him are still on very good terms, and the door is open for him to return at the end of his contract if he wishes to.
Oh, okay. I thought one of the things that was obviously this was dirt sheets obviously talking was it was going to be the same deal but for less number a shorter number of matches, as in each year he would have to do less commitments. I think he sounded like he wanted a little bit more free time. I don't know if
Well,
any of those details have been revealed.
I don't know. I think that there are people who need there are people who actually need to know that information is Tony Khan,
Mhm.
Brian Danielson, and Brie Bella.
I love the interview with Brian Danielson. I'm not sure if it was immediately after,
It
but
was.
Tony Khan sat there and just the smile on his face. He's a wrestling fan. He is an absolute wrestling fan. He was loving the fact that, and I don't think it was not like to rub it in the face at WWE or anything, but he's just genuinely excited to have a huge name like that, and he's working for your company. And yeah, um, I was happy with all those things. I'd be shocked if those things were not mentioned on the show when we record tomorrow.
I have got something I want to show you, Graham. It's something I haven't had a chance to show you, but I
Okay.
now need to scroll back a certain amount of time. So do bear with me for a few
I'm
moments.
hoping it's not something that occurred on the Five Nerds podcast one time, allegedly.
No, it's not, and that never happened. I've never done that, Graham. So I don't know where that was coming from.
If you know what we're talking about, you know what we're talking about. And if you don't, then you don't want to know. It's good how
No,
you got it pre-prepared, though, so we won't waste any time.
I took a picture of something, Graham, but I have to try and find it. That's all.
Did you
Because
take me today?
I sent it to a Techers chat, you see, and there's been a
Okay.
lot happening in it. Here we
Uh,
go. Here we go. Uh, this.
all I can see is Dynamite. That's all I can see. Wrestling, Dynamite. It's blurry, man. I can't read it. You'll have to read it.
It's
All Elite. Okay.
record.
What does that mean? You've set it to record or something?
I've set it to record.
Series link?
It,
Or whatever it's called?
series link for AEW Dynamite.
Mmm.
Figure if I'm gonna actually be a proper journalist, I should probably give it my full attention and not just rag on it. At the same time, if something sucks, I'm gonna call it out.
Of course. Of course. I wouldn't expect anything else. Did you see the pay-per-view at the weekend? Or the highlights of the pay-per-view?
I have I've got to say, like the double swerve at the end, I genuinely this would be my bad cop moment for the week.
Mhm.
This would have been the finish is the bad cop moment of the week though. It was fantastic.
For the Kenny match?
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The bad cop moment is the finish.
With what regards?
Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson both come out at the same time. But the problem now, what's the problem, Graham?
The expectation that you keep having more people.
No,
I don't know.
partially
From your
that, but
perspective, I don't know what the problem is. I thought that was a good
here.
thing.
They're now up here. They're now at the top with that expectation.
Mm-hmm.
The only place they can go from there.
They're pretty big names. You weren't going to start them off on if weren't seriously suggesting they're going to start them on AEW Dark, are you, or Dark Elevation or something like that.
I will point out that Punk made his debut on Dark this week.
Okay, but they also
he also said he wasn't going to do Dark. He turned up on it anyway, so he's only lied once now.
I don't know about he lied.
But I don't like Punk. Don't like him.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Danielson and Adam Cole, massive fan of. Fan of. Can't wait to see what they can do. But the thing is, they've now got all of this massive buzz, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
But where do you go from there?
It'll be fun to find out, won't it?
How do you get bigger than that?
To tune in so you can find out.
Of course, but how do you top that? Because that's kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. I didn't particularly like the level of respect he showed Tony Schiavone in the ring on Dynamite this week, but I know he's being a heel character, but
well, we as I've said, I'll give it my attention. If something sucks, I'll call it out. Thing is that AEW Dynamite doesn't air in the UK on TV here until Sunday morning our time.
Oh.
So we don't get Dynamite till after SmackDown's been on.
Just watch highlights on YouTube.
But I don't see all of it, Graham, because as proven with highlights, Graham, I didn't see the Demon thing last week.
Well, I didn't watch it live, and I saw the Demon thing.
It wasn't on the highlights package, and as I told you, it wasn't included in the top 10 moments.
No, okay, well, I think it would give you at least. Surely it'd be better to watch at least half of the show before you record than talk about it 10 days after it happened.
In any case.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little spoiler then. I thought the AEW Dynamite show this week was the best 2 hours of wrestling I've seen in 5 years.
Did you watch it at times one?
In terms of WWE and AEW, for a show, not for a non-pay-per-view event, there was like moment after moment after moment after moment. And I think I told you, I normally just watch they put like the top 4. They had the top 5 moments. And then when I looked and saw the other videos, I was like, they didn't even include this. And I clicked on that as well. I was like, whoa. There was just a lot of whoa moments, which unfortunately I haven't had from watching Raw.
That's fair. Raw has sometimes stagnated. SmackDown tonight's recording well, wait. If SmackDown doesn't rock tonight, then something's gone wrong because you've got a stacked Madison Square Garden tonight.
Yeah, I enjoyed Raw this week. Don't get me wrong, but compared to Dynamite, it was steps below.
But without comparing it to Dynamite, because clearly you've got your AEW glasses on, so take those off for a moment, put them to one side. Raw, did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Then something's going right at last.
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
That'll be thanks to Molly Holly being producer on there now.
I've heard people who were critical of the show. Like, I looked, because somebody said, I missed Raw last night, what can you tell me about it? And most of the comments were critical. And I'd already watched it at that point. And I was like, I thought it was okay. Like, I enjoyed it.
Most of those people, Graham, were people who have not watched it.
Now, the problem is, though, if I saw it, would that make me now make next Monday no miss? No, if I miss next Monday, I'm not going to be sweating it. If I miss next week's Dynamite, then I will be absolutely kicking myself having seen this week's. So, I know repeat business is obviously important for wrestling.
The other thing, of course, is that if with each week comes along, eventually you're going to hit that wall when eventually you can't keep going. So how to keep it going.
Yeah. Innovate. You got to innovate. You got to get the non-wrestling fans in as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the key question. How do you do that? Yeah.
The good thing is that none of the shows clash. So
yes.
And last thing I'll say, because we are really going quite long tonight, actually, which is good.
Nice. We got time. It's not a big issue right now. I'm not doing. I got nothing to do this weekend.
Yeah, but I haven't had my tea yet, Graham. So, and it's 8 o'clock nearly.
Oh, you must be starving then.
I'm
Sorry.
hungry. I am hungry, Graham. Yes, I am hungry. I had a point. Oh yeah. As a point that's been made multiple times, and I'm gonna agree with all of these people. Stop trying to make this into a war, Twitter, because there is no war here. They're offering different things for different age brackets. WWE offers that. AEW offers this. New Japan offers something completely different. Ring of Honor also something different. Impact, something different again. Shimmer, they're all different things for different tastes. Indie wrestling, which we both go to watch, Graham, offers a entirely different thing again. If it was all the same thing, it would be shit.
Yeah.
The beauty of having choice is amazing, as proven by the fact that we went to 6 shows for something a weekend and they were all very different.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones that were in the same bloody building with the same people on them.
I was listening to our guest last week's podcast, and that was basically his opening segment. Like, I love the fact that we have choice now. He's like, I don't want to talk about whether you liked it, didn't like it. It's like, that's important. The fact is, we have a choice now on a weekly basis for multiple shows, what you can actually choose to watch. And when the consumer has that, the only people who benefit are the consumer. And absolutely, you can pick and choose now what you want to watch, and it's going to be a good thing.
Something else, just kind of mind. What annoys me at the moment is when you get people saying, like, say for example, TV show Line of Duty, for example, in the UK.
Okay.
I don't know if you get that in America or not, Graham, do you?
I haven't watched it, so
Okay.
I couldn't really tell you.
Well, everyone was saying how, you've got to watch Line of Duty, it's the best thing out there. I'm like, well, maybe catching like, how can you not be watching that? It's the best thing ever. I will quite happily sit there and I'll say that, and you're gonna roll your eyes. I will happily sit down and watch every episode of Power Rangers with no problem at all, sort of thing. And I will say that it's one of the best kids shows that's ever been made. Now, that is my opinion, and I could turn around and you say, "Why are you not watching this? This is fantastic," because it doesn't appeal to everybody.
Correct.
I mean, for example, Doctor Who, massive fanboy of, got the artwork behind me as always.
Yeah.
Pretty sure not everybody likes every single Doctor. I was a massive John Pertwee fan. Some people hated him. Some people hate Jodie Whittaker, the incumbent Doctor. Some people hate the writing. It's not for everybody. Just like people with no hair. Not everyone likes people with no hair. I like people with no hair. They're quite good friends.
I have to be very careful if I'm recommending things to people because often my tastes are very different from other people's tastes. Like specifically for Doctor Who, I think I've only watched 3-4 episodes of the new Doctor Who. And when I say new, I'm probably talking 15 years ago now as well. I'm talking about Doctor 3, 4, 5. That's kind of my sweet spot as far as I'm concerned.
Pertwee, Baker, and Peterson.
There you go. That's it. So, but those ones I quite happily watch. And same with films. Like my ratings, like I hated The Lion King. I did not like The Lion King at all. I avoided it for a long time. So you rolled your eyes straight away because that's most people's reaction. That's why I have to be careful about it. It's not. I'm quite. I know what I like though, and that's the important thing. So if I'm not liking it, I'm not going to watch it. Which is what we tell everyone with wrestling too. But I know one recently came out. It was like somebody sent me this. Hey, what do you think of this? It's like the top 10 films of all time. One of the top 10 films of all time is in my worst 10 films of all time, which is why I normally don't bother looking at those lists for that reason. Fargo, hated it. Thought it was dumb. Hated it. Couldn't stand it. Didn't see anything redeeming about it at all.
Something which is going to be on my Christmas crackers, Graham, by the way, this year, was when we went through when we did like films that we don't like, sort of thing, on Open Agenda, and you couldn't believe that one, I hadn't seen Cobra Kai, and you also said, how could you never have seen The Karate Kid?
And that surprised me. I don't think I would have been surprised you haven't seen Cobra Kai. That's kind of a newish one anyway. So, but I'm surprised you've never seen Karate Kid. That is a big.
But,
I'd forgotten that, to be honest.
Surprised you haven't seen a film is one thing, but then when people say like, "Oh, how could you not have seen that?" sort of thing, I'm like,
I keep
that.
knocking them off my list. Like people will give me suggestions now. I've gone back and watched. Like Lion King was a film I should have probably watched. Titanic was a film I probably should have watched, and for whatever reason, I just never got around to them. So I keep knocking those off the list. Jaws, like some of the classic films, and they're not necessarily the best films necessarily, but it's films I perhaps should have seen.
I've got a film that I say that you should watch, but at the same time, it's personal taste. A film I grew up obsessed with, Graham, was the Titfield Thunderbolt.
Oh yeah, my dad loves that film. Yeah,
I was obsessed with it growing up because I was obsessed with trains as a child.
I was a bit surprised when there was a dramatic pause before you said field. I was going to say that's I didn't quite know where you were going for a second.
The Titfield Thunderbolt, yeah.
There was a bit of a pause there.
Sid
I'm sure
James,
one word, Titfield, right?
Anyway, Graham, I think we've entertained the lady.
I think you're probably right. I'm pretty sure my son's going to be coming in soon, so we're just going to get footsteps anyway. So probably as good a time as any to end it. And go check out Good Cop, Bad Cop this Sunday on Visionaries Global Media, and Matt will be joining us as normal the following week. Fingers crossed.
I intend to be.
I'll be COVID-free by as well. Either way.
Either way, Graham, you're nice and safe either way, and guys, stay safe out there as well. Wear a mask, get the vaccine, and we will see you next week. We're out of here.
Boom.